Sometimes it feels like your to-do list is never ending. And when you are a single parent, there isn't somebody else who you can ask for help. Today, we dive deep into a solo episode where I share how I've handled overwhelm and what you can start doing today to stop that feeling of there is so much to do in so little time. Let's get started. Welcome to the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast dedicated to helping women navigate the emotional journey that is divorce. I'm your host, Erica, and if you're trying to figure out life after the big D, welcome to the club. Whether you're contemplating divorce or dealing with the aftermath or any of the many phases in between, the club has got you covered. Each week, you'll hear stories from women who have been in your shoes. This isn't about spilling tea on divorce details. This is about giving you the tools to take control of your own healing journey. Listen in weekly for advice, tips, and tools to help you move through each stage of the process. Welcome back to another episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club. I'm your host, Erica, and I am popping on here at end of the day. It's dark, as you can see if you're watching the video. I've been running around, and I'm about to head out to the mountains for a week without any reception. So at first I was pissed. Then I freaked out. Then I said, what I cannot change, I will not let change my vibe. And I lined the fuck up to who I needed to be able to get the shit done. So as we sit here, season 10 finale, season 10, episode 12, you guys, we have been delivering a podcast every single week for over 2 years. There's over 100 episodes. I wish I could tell you the exact number right now, but I don't know. Probably around 120 or something-ish like that. And I wanted to come on here tonight to talk about the lessons, right? Because I feel like the lessons in life continue to be the lessons in life until we learn how to do them differently. And nothing reminded me of that than being faced with a countdown to 0 reception for a week. Now, I do believe that being unplugged is a really good thing. So don't get me wrong. If you've never left your phone in another room for the night, you need to do it, okay? We are so addicted to our technology, myself included. I can notice a drastic change in my mindset and in my energy levels and in how my cells feel after doom scrolling. Like I get sucked in just like everybody else. And then I'm like, God, I just really don't want to do anything today and blah, blah, blah. And I realized that if I didn't doom scroll when I first woke up in the morning, my day was a hell of a lot more effective. So I am a big proponent of unplugging. Side note, let me tell you the tips to do that because it's really hard. If you are really addicted to your phone, if you're constantly used to carrying it in your hand, the first thing I want you to do is plug it in a different room. So I used to plug my phone in the kitchen and then go into the living room to spend the evening with my son after dinner. Now, what did this do? It helped me be present with the people that I was sharing my time with. My phone was in the other room. I didn't have an Apple Watch at the time. So if you have an Apple Watch, take that shit off. It was right around the corner. So if somebody called, I could still hear it. But guess what? I was divorced. Nobody was calling me at late at night. So let's be real. But it put a big enough break in where the phone was that it stopped me from doing that automatic grab. Because, you just look at it and then you turn it on and then you scroll through to see, is there a new email? Is there a new post? Is there a new whatever? And then boom, doom scrolling. So your first step to getting rid of your phone is leaving it plugged in the other room after dinner for a few hours, right? It is so beneficial. You will become so much more present. You will become so less frazzled. I realized that when I was doom scrolling and having to parent, I was really short with my son. Like it was like he was interrupting me, but he wasn't because he is way more fun and way more important than social media. Okay, that's your first step. Your second step, if you're trying to detox from tech, is to actually choose to leave your phone at home. So if you are going out with, your family, or you're going out with friends and you know exactly where you'll be at this restaurant in town, people know where you're at. So if something were to go wrong, they would know that something went wrong. Leave your phone at home. for a few hours. Or another really easy way, I always put my phone on do not disturb when I'm working. And you wouldn't think it would make that big of a difference, but it's so funny how just not having that like little light up every few minutes, and I've turned off most of my notifications, you guys, so like I'm pretty good at managing my tech and it still gets me. So put it on do not disturb. When you go out to dinner, put it on do not disturb. Put it in your freaking purse. Do not have it on the table. All of those little things make a huge difference. Okay, back to the story at hand. So here I am, I don't know, a week ago, maybe I got the email. I'm at the tail end of a 6-month certification, which has been life changing for me in how I can care for members in the club. So this 6-month certification took me deep down a rabbit hole. I was already very familiar with chakras from my time in corporate America. I was very familiar with Chinese medicine, but hadn't really applied it. So I understood the meridians, I understood the acupressure and acupuncture points and all that, but we dove into it. We dove into energy therapies. We dove into timeline travel. We dove into past life progression. We dove into Kundalini and harnessing your true energy and your true power. And the last piece is a retreat, a week, a little less than a week, but a week of immersion in a small mountain town in Colorado. Been looking forward to this day, right? Hands-on, there's cacao ceremonies, there's Kundalini every single day, and there's a hands-on portion about trauma-informed therapy. So you guys like leveling up. I love leveling up. I love learning these modalities. I love bringing them back to help you move through the shit faster. So super excited until I got that notice. And why? Because I'm a big proponent of unplugging and being present. That wasn't the problem. The problem is I'm solopreneuring over here, just like solo parenting. It means that if I'm not able to get hands-on with my business right now wouldn't move forward, right? I do all the social posting. I respond to the messages. I turn on the many chats. I answer your emails, right? I don't have somebody that steps in for me when I go on holiday. And this has been a struggle, as you can imagine, creates a lot of overwhelm, creates a lot of pressure to never turn it off. Does any of that sound familiar about you and co-parenting with your kids? Do you struggle to turn it off? Do you struggle to make time for yourself? Do you struggle to unplug? We all do this. We all do this throughout our life. More and more responsibility and task list items and to-dos show up and land on our plate, and we go, oh, if I just work a few more hours, oh, if I just stay up a little bit later, I can get the things done. And when I get the things done, the list will get less. And the reality is the list just gets more. And so when I got that email and when I realized that I wasn't going to have cell phone reception, I was like, shit. Because right now I'm in a bit of a phase of flying by the seat of my pants. We're in a beautiful phase of expansion within the club. If you are listening right now, the holiday Survival Pass is still available, which means that you can get access into the club and into the live calls and into the community for $99 from now, whenever you enroll, through January 15th. So we've got a bunch of amazing new people joining the club and showing up and helping them get set up. And yes, all the emails are automated, but again, I want to welcome you. This is what I'm here to connect with you. So I'm freaking out about how am I going to get this stuff done? And most importantly, how am I going to condense what is 2 weeks of work into 1 week? Because I need to have everything written, planned, automated, set up to send long before I leave, on top of taking care of my own shit. So I was really pissed. I was really pissed that this was being forced upon me. I was pissed that it was a condition that was making it feel like I had more work that I had to get done. Does that sound familiar in your life? Do you find that you are so irritated when conditions or expectations show up that now you need to get it done? It solely relies on you. I totally felt like this in my separation, my divorce. I was pissed at him. I was pissed every time my child had a meltdown because I was literally like, how dare you and fuck you for pushing this divorce on me, because now I have to handle this shit alone. And I was livid. And so here I sit, experiencing that same sort of feeling. I'm so pissed at a condition that I can't control. It makes me have to take on all this stuff. And I freaked out a little bit, right? Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? My son's not going to be able to call me. Okay, you guys, he's a 14-year-old teenage boy. Do you think that he calls his mother very often? No. But did I want to know that I was reachable in case of an emergency? Yes. And of course, they have my resort information and they can contact like through that line. Like if there was an emergency, could they find me? Yes. But the lack of control of knowing that I could be in contact with him anytime I wanted was being pressed, and I was freaking out a little bit. And I also was freaking out because my partner and I, we talk a lot. We talk a lot. And so I was like, oh my God, well, I didn't agree to not having my emotional support partner every night to decompress with, even though I know that when that happens, it's going to put me deeper into the healing and the restoration and the reset. But I freaked out. I was worried about it. Now, does that sound familiar? Do you freak out when your child goes to the other parent's house because you can't check in to see how his day went? Or what if he misses his like stuffed animal or his blanket and he doesn't have it? Or what if he can't call you? Or what if he gets a boo-boo and can't let you know? Yeah, totally normal. Totally normal. And I also was like, okay, yep, freaking out, not liking this. Can I change it? No. Okay. So then I said, what I cannot change, I will not let this sink my battleship. I will not let this take me down. I will instead choose to own my frequency, own my vibe, own where I spend my time, and get the shit done. Take care of business. And when you make this shift, and when you say, okay, I can either spend my time spiraling and being pissed about conditions that I cannot change, that officially are probably going to benefit me, much like maybe your divorce is actually going to benefit you when you stop fighting the conditions you cannot change, then magic can show up. Then, so we talk about quantum leaps, right? You know what happened? I got super clear every single day. First, I was like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. But I was dedicated to being able to unplug and get everything programmed ahead so that I didn't have to worry. So that meant that every single day I showed up, and at first I was freaked out. And oh my gosh, I better stop working out. I better stop taking a walk. I better take all this stuff off my plate because I'm just going to have to work 12 hours a day. And I was so exhausted. And instead I said, pick one thing that has to get done before you leave. And I looked at the laundry list of 20 or 30 things that sit on my to-do list every single week. And I said, what is one thing? One thing that must get done. Okay, one thing. I needed to get the podcast loaded for the next 2 weeks. Okay, got it done. I needed to get it on YouTube. Got it done. I needed to write the blog post. Got it done. Needed to write the email. Got it done. Now, when I looked at that entire list, because you guys, when you look at the podcast, so I have support who edits it. It comes back to me. I do a little reworking on show notes so that they fit the vibe that I'm looking for. I load it to Spotify. I load it to YouTube. I make thumbnails for Spotify, thumbnails for YouTube. I write a blog. I make a thumbnail for the blog. I write an email. I load the email. On top of that, I write 4 social posts. There's a lot of little tiny to-dos. Now, when I look at that whole big list, oh my God, I felt like I was never going to get it done. And what happened then? I couldn't focus. My heart was racing. I was having anxiety around the shit that I had to get done in my life. And so then instead, when I cleared the plate and I said, okay, yes, all those things have to get done, and one at a time. What is the top number one thing that I need to do that if I do just one thing today, I will feel like I moved the marker? And I grabbed the one thing. And when you're sitting in that space of solo parenting and trying to work and trying to parent and trying to make dinner and trying to have groceries and trying to take care of yourself and trying to get enough sleep and maybe trying to get some movement in, and God forbid you actually try and have social time, it feels really overwhelming. It feels like the work never ends, that you take it home with you every single night. It feels like you're never present with your kid or your partner or whoever you're with right now, that your mind is always somewhere else. And so when you hit those feelings, you wake up. Here's another one. I was waking up in the middle of the night with anxiety. Like I would wake up and then it would hit and I couldn't breathe. Do a little breath of fire if that hits anytime. I was like, what the hell? Too much. The system was on overload. My nervous system was in survival. I had to take it back. I had to take control over where I was focused. And when I moved all the shit and wrote it all down, get it all out, my little paper planner is over here. It's the happiest time of my life when there's a new year and I get to go buy a new paper planner. I write that task list every single week. And then I look at it and say, what is the one most important thing I need to accomplish today? Not how do I get it all done? How do I get one thing done? And when that one thing is done, I move on to the next thing. When we multitask, we get absolutely nothing done. We're exhausted. Our mind is frazzled. We can't think straight. We wonder why we can't remember things. Yeah, it's because you're trying to hold too much at one time. And I used to pride myself on how good of a multitasker I was, how much I could take on. And thank God divorce wrecked that ability in me. Is it coming back? Yeah. I'm choosing how I want to bring it back in instead of having to function at that level. And it was a choice to get there. It was a choice by saying, this doesn't feel good in my mind and in my body, and I don't want to live like this anymore. And then small shifts. No, I didn't wipe everything all at once. No, I didn't get done with everything all at once, but I'm like super excited, you guys. I'm recording this and then sending it over to my podcast editor and signing off for 10 days because I fucking did it. And I did it one thing at a time. I did it when it felt like the next step, the next logical solution. And I want to bring this to you so that when you are sitting in that space of it feels like you are never going to get this figured out, there's always going to be more, and it feels overwhelming, and it feels like giving up, right? It feels like, like when you're a rebel, but you're actually a rebel and it hurts you. I'm going to be a rebel and not do my work today, and I'm going to procrastinate, and all it does is make more work the next day. Self-destruction, self-sabotage, it feels like that. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed and overloaded by all the other responsibilities and burdens we put on ourselves that we actually do things that stop us from being able to truly move forward. If you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted from overthinking, and stuck in uncertainty, this message is for you. You don't have to keep feeling that way. Inside the club, you'll find a safe space to rediscover who you are, clarify what you want, and determine how you want to move forward. Surrounded by women who truly understand and guided by expert support, you are not alone on this journey. Join us at thecrazyexwivesclub.com/the club. It's time to reclaim your life. And I get it, you guys. I get it that you have a lot on your plate. I don't even know how I used to do it all. And I bet you don't know how you're doing it all, but you are. And that's because you are a powerful woman and you are getting shit done. Like, I think about it right now and I was like, how the heck pre-COVID did I get my kid on the bus in the morning, run to work, go through all my meetings, get my goals done every single year, get to the gym. I used to work out 5 days a week. I was really trying to remember what time I used to go to the gym. Get to the gym and pick up my child from after school to then run home and make dinner, have a little TV time with him, and do bedtime and go to bed. It's a lot. And you are doing it. And when you sit in the space where you're at right now, I want you to look back over the last month, over the last year. What have you shifted? Does it still feel the same as it did when this new reality hit you? Or does it feel a little different? And if it still feels the same, no shame, you guys, no judgment. We are doing all we can just to survive. You guys, I have taken more vacations this year, more travel, because they haven't been vacations, where I literally always fly with my computer and I always spend more time doing work. In fact, I went to Florida for St. Patrick's Day while running a large instructional design contract that required me to skip every single family outing that we actually had planned. We moved a monitor into the kitchen on the kitchen table, and I spent 8 hours a day working while everybody was out vacationing. I have been there. I have been there. And that taught me that I would never put myself in that position again. Little by little, every single trip. At first, I couldn't let go of the control. I couldn't breathe that it was going to be okay. I always carried my computer in case I had to log in case I had to make a post, in case I had an email. Slowly, little by little, I was like, I think I can leave it. I moved from the computer to the tablet because I really, really, really hate designing in Canva on my phone. It doesn't like me and I don't like it. I took steps to change how that felt in my experience because I was done feeling how shitty it felt to not be able to actually unplug or to take time for me. And when you don't unplug and take time for you, it is a recipe for disaster because you will burn out, because you cannot be your best self if you are not taking care of yourself first. I mean, think about every single flight you've ever been on. What do they tell you? Put the oxygen bag on you first. If you don't take care of you, you cannot take care of anybody else in your life. But we create this story, and it's a valid story. I need to do all the work. And especially when you get divorced and you don't have a partner, there isn't somebody else helping out with dinner or getting groceries. I need to do all the work. So how do we change that? How do we shift that? Gradually, then suddenly. I am so ecstatic to literally take 10 days off. I'm sure you'll probably see me in stories, but I bet you see me a lot less. Everybody checks social media. Anyways, when I see like a quote or a post or a thing that I'm like, that's freaking awesome. Is it really easy for me to like share the stories and post? Yes. So that's about all you're going to see from me. Now the week I'm in the mountains, you ain't going to see shit from me. And it's going to feel so amazing and it's going to free up space. But I had to work my way to get there. It doesn't happen overnight. So when I sit here and I have guests on and we talk about these big transformations, it wasn't that it was just easy. It wasn't that it just was a choice. It started as this subtle desire, like, I don't want to do it this way anymore. And I'm exhausted from having to do it this way. And when those things start to show up, then the next thing for you to do is start to call in, what else could it look like? How can I do this differently? What am I willing to let go? What am I willing to put down? We create all these stories in our head about the expectations and what we have to maintain. And your divorce is literally your permission slip to say, fuck it. You get to do what you want to do right now. I remember using that permission slip to be like, you know what? I don't have to make fancy dinners. I kind of miss breakfast burritos once a week. They were delightful. Now, at the end of like a year of eating breakfast burritos, maybe 2 years, I don't know, it was a long time, I needed a break. I was done for a while, but I stopped putting these external pressures on me. I did not volunteer at my child's school. That's a nice to have, not a need to have. When there were volunteer hours required for like his baseball or his sports or for whatever else, I wrote the check because it was not a thing that I could take on in my system. So we've got to make those shifts to free up the time to stop chasing a to-do list that never ends. Prioritize the one thing you have to get done every single day. Reflect back and say, have things shifted or am I doing the same old, same old? And then know that that's the first step. And I think that's where a lot of women get stuck. I look at the club. I was thinking about this a lot this week because one of the things that has come up multiple times from multiple different club members on multiple different calls was a comment around, I just really didn't have the time. This is the first time I've given myself a break, made it okay for me to join a call that I knew I needed for myself. Or, hey, I missed the call, but I finally had enough time to sit down and watch the replay. And oh my God, it was exactly what I needed. We don't have a lot of time. And we have a lot less time when we're navigating divorce and we become single parents and now we're co-parenting and we're healing and we're doing the emotional damage dance and all that shit. And we get lost and we get stuck in a cycle of repeat. And we continue to repeat those same patterns until we learn how to do something different. So can you go out and can you buy the books and do the therapy and do the work? You can. It is literally what I did. I pieced together my healing journey. I think it was pre-podcast era, but I dove deep into books and audiobooks and motivational quotes, deep into Abraham Hicks. I would go fly in and go to the events. I did therapy for a little while. Like, do you ever just feel like at the end of talk therapy, you're like tired of talking about it and you're ready to do something about it? Like, great, talking made me feel better because I'm pretty chatty Kathy. But you know what it didn't do? It didn't stop it from happening again. I was tired of repeating the cycles. I wanted to take action. I moved past talk therapy into all the other healing modalities that we've talked about on this podcast. I did the work. And then I brought them to you because I get that we don't all have time. And I get that we all don't even have a desire. Like, I love that shit. I love that shit. If I could just spend all week exploring different healing modalities, that is my jam. But that's also why I love the hours in the club. It's where we get to share our biggest fears and shadows and heartbreaks and then celebrate the fact that you're moving through it. And so if you're sitting in that space where you're like, I really just don't have the time. I don't have the time to join 3 live calls. That's fine. Watch the recordings. But do you have time to sit in the same space one more year later? Do you have time to continue to feel overwhelmed and burnt out and unsure of what's going forward? Or are you ready to take just one step? One step. You're already doing that one step every single week when you tune into the podcast. So like hit that little button, right? What do they always say on YouTube? Remember back in the day, God, when my kid would stream YouTube all the time, it was like, hit that button, like, subscribe, share, blah, blah, blah. And I don't even hit the bell. I don't even know what it is, but I'm going to have to go look it up because now it's going to bother me. Follow the podcast, right? It'll show up every single week. It'll ding you and let you know that a new episode is there. Make the time to sit down and listen to it on your drive, maybe while you're working. You deserve it. You deserve it. And the reality is that one day there isn't just going to be a plethora of time because we fill the things up. We fill the open space up. Either we doom scroll or like me, I get really good at procrastinating and doing things that don't really need to get done, but keep me very busy. I used to ask when I worked in corporate, I'd say, did you move the marker or did you just stay really busy today? We can feel like we work very, very hard and stay very busy, but not move the marker. And we can move the marker in 5 minutes or one task. And so I invite you to really reflect on that this week. And then I want you to show up on social media and I want you to celebrate the shit you are doing because you are handling and managing so much. I had a post this week in the club and I was like, Monday celebrations of my quote unquote wins. And I listed the 3 things I dropped the ball on. I didn't get it done. I didn't get it done. I didn't get it done. And I let myself off the hook. Start again the next day. So what are you doing? Because I know you are doing it, even if it's just holding it together. But this week, season 10, season finale, I just wanted to get really real with you. I wanted to sit down and say, in real life, even though I'm past divorce, do I still have those same challenges? How am I going to get it all done? How am I going to pay for this? Am I showing up enough for my child? Does he feel loved? How will this impact him? I've got to get it all done. The lesson is not that all of a sudden this thing, this big challenge, this big conflict in our life, this big struggle, no matter what it is, that thing that just feels so overwhelming. The overwhelm doesn't end when that's over because we replace it with something else. The overwhelm ends when we choose to show up differently, when we choose to protect our time and protect our energy and get really clear about what's important. I love you guys so much for tuning in, for showing up every single week. I feel honored to be here on this platform, speaking to you every week, sharing the wisdom and the lessons, and in all honesty, calling you forward. You guys, I'm so passionate about the fact that you can sit in the feels as long as you want. But when you are done feeling the way you are feeling, you are the one that has to make that choice. And you can do it. And you can create a completely different life. And you can find unconditional happiness. And you can fall in love with yourself. And you can build something that is better than you ever thought you imagined. But you do it. It doesn't just happen for you. So thank you guys again for joining me. We'll be back next week with season 11. I will be out of the mountains at that point. So maybe. Ooh, I think this sounds like a great challenge. How about this? Our next episode, I'll wait till I get out of the mountains and we'll record a little aha of what happened while I was unplugged. You guys, until our next episode, give yourself grace. Go review that checklist. I want you to highlight the 1 or 2 things that you need to get done and let some of the other ones fall off your plate. And that's it. Another great episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast for women learning how to heal from their divorce. Tune in next week for more advice and tips to help you figure out life after divorce. And until then, give yourself grace, do the best you can, and know that this is all part of the process.